Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Train Man, and welcome back to the Zombie Train, episode 180. 180. Hey, we made it halfway around a circle. Anyways, this episode we're going to be working on this swath of land because it's going to be a centerpiece soon enough. And TBA has to do the scenery on it, so I'm going to get the land all done. Anyways, we don't actually have a hell of a lot else to do because we made Andy's hideaway and stuff like that, and not too many other places are written up to be featured yet. So this is sort of going to be where our priorities lie, you know, the old man at least, especially until this season is over. Now, if we have a free episode, I'm going to finish and connect the narrow gauge line so that I can bring this up to version 1.0 and release the next, release the beta 1.0 of the route, which is going to be a public release. I know I've said that before. But that's going to be the next release. Currently we're in version 0.8, because I finished the old main trackage. Well, most of it. You can run through now. It doesn't have any passing sightings or anything like that. But this episode, we had to skip two. I'm waiting for Weibel on a pair of them, so the Fate of 18, that's his engine, and also the Colorado Narrow Gauge asked by Mr. Railroad Runner and Ryan Lobner, as well as some other narrow gauge routes, but again, I am not not in the slightest am I an expert on either of those things, and Weibel would be a lot better. So, anyways, I had to bump up a few. So we've got this episode. We've got actually zombie physiology. This was spurred on by a pair of questions asked by East Rail, and one of them being, do zombies get frostbite, which was asked in 176, which was the keys, and big on the episode Big Engines 178, he asks, was a zombie ever struck by lightning? And now the thing I can say is a zombie was probably struck by lightning at some point. And, you know, you probably just ended up with a cooked zombie, which was probably still completely functioning, to be honest, because, well, you know, what's it gonna do to him? The zombies do not have a beating heart, so you're not gonna stop their heart with an electrical impulse. Oh, hold on one second. Anyways, so I brought out the trusty old zombie survival guide written by Max Brooks, and I read through the bit on undead myths and realities, which is one of these chapters here. It's actually the first chapter. It starts on page 1. If you want to understand what's going on in the zombie train or understand a little bit more of the universe that we're working in, this is a good book, as well as World War Z, because they are written by the same author, Max Brooks being a survivor of the zombie war. World War Z. So, first things first, the virus is known as solanum, which is, it says here, it is a Latin word used by John, the origin stems from a virus known as solanum. Anyways, I don't actually know what the hell it means, but it travels through the bloodstream from a bite, or, you know, another, you know, fluid-on-fluid contact. It's not airborne, it's not waterborne. If you're already dead, you cannot get infected with the disease. It only will affect living humans, and what happens is, so over the hours, so there's a little list here. So in hour 1, this pain and discoloration of the infected area. You know, let's presume you get bitten. That's, again, the most likely way to receive the disease. By hour 5, you have a fever, approximately 100 degrees Fahrenheit, sometimes hotter. Chills, slight dementia because your brain is sort of being, your frontal lobe especially, is being taken over by the virus. And vomiting, and apparently acute pain in the joints. And then by hour 8, you have numbing of the extremities and the infected area, increased fever, so over 105 degrees Fahrenheit in a lot of cases, increased dementia and loss of muscular coordination. And by hour 11, you have paralysis, complete numbness, and a slowed heart rate. 5 hours later, you've entered a coma, and 4 hours after that, so 20 hours after infection, you are clinically dead. Your heart has stopped. And so this is the this incubation period, it is only a day, but it's something for somebody to hide a bite, especially if they're trying to get into a crowded area. It's something for somebody to hide a bite, and then basically undergo this in an area with people, and that's what happened a lot of the time. So, also worth mentioning is if you eat some infected flesh, you die. You can't be, unless you have open sores in your mouth, you can't be infected by ingesting infected flesh. You can, however, be infected if you kill a zombie and it sort of splatters onto onto an open wound of yours. If you have, again, it's not always a bite that gets you, but it's always got to be contact to your blood, because the virus has to get to the frontal lobe. It has to get to the brain. It only works on humans, so you're not going to have things like zombie dogs, zombie bears, zombie pigmen. There's going to be nothing of the sort. And in fact, most, if not all, animals will flee an infected individual. So, I know I've said this before, but if you're with your dog, if you're with your dog and they start freaking out, there's a good reason to, and try to run away, or, even any animal. There's a good reason to assume that, you could be in trouble with the undead sooner or later. There may be one nearby. There's no treatment currently known, because it's a virus. Antibiotics don't work, and vaccines, which are good against viruses, apparently even the smallest dose results in infection. But it can't reanimate someone that's already dead. Now, the zombies essentially have only 4 senses. I said something about nighttime, but they don't actually depend on their eyesight quite as much as humans do. They have learned to use their other senses quite well, including, hearing and smell. I don't think they care about taste, however. And, it's mentioned here, think of the human body as a toolkit. When the Solanum virus takes over and turns you into a zombie, it doesn't make you any stronger or any faster or any more perceptive. It just uses what you've already gotten. It could use it more efficiently, but in most cases that's not true. Now, they do have excellent sight, they do have excellent hearing, they have excellent smell. They are able to, the virus is able to adapt the human body to seek out food that'd be more humans, The only reason that it is food to them is because it's, the proliferation of their species, so to speak, the proliferation of the virus. And that's because they don't actually need to consume anything to stay going, and they'll kick around for 3 to 5 years. And if you think of a corpse walking around for 3 to 5 years, that's kind of impressive. And then you realize, the Solanum virus, when it's present, scares off every other organism, virtually. And so that includes the bacteria and fungi that are decomposers of the human body, so the human body will stick around. And thus carry Solanum as far as it feels like walking in a period of 5 years. Or walking more like shambling, really, because they don't have exactly good coordination. I talked about the climbing of the ladder by a zombie, which I was particularly impressed with. There's only about 1 in 4 zombies that'll be able to, that's dexterous enough to do that. Now, it's worth pointing out, this is to dispel a lot of the myths around zombies. They are not particularly smart. They do not problem solve. They don't use logic. They don't know how to use weapons or tools or anything like that. Think of it like a computer, which is a fairly good analogy. It's got one task, and that task is seek out a human, and it will not change that task. It cannot change that task. No new commands can be altered. And they'll just sort of aimlessly wander around an area until they get wind of a human, in which case they will seek it out at all costs, and they'll try to make a beeline to it. If there's a wall in their way or a door in their way, they're going to beat on the door or the wall. They're going to climb over any obstacles. They're going to, push things away, They have pretty much unlimited endurance and stamina, which is impressive to the point of being scary impressive. Because, another good analogy is the tortoise and the hare. If you, the human, are outrunning the zombie, which you will be able to, and even outwalk a zombie because they kind of shamble again. They're not dexterous. They don't have any sort of agility whatsoever. You'll be able to outrun them. But when you stop to rest, they will catch up. They don't have emotions or memories or, really any communication skills, although they do seek out their own moans. A zombie, when it sees the prospect of food, it gets excited, so to speak, and so it will start breathing in and out, which isn't something a zombie actually needs to do, but it does involuntarily. And this will create their signature moan, because the vocal cords are completely relaxed at that point, if they are intact. And that'll draw in the other zombies. Now, that's the only sort of communication they have, and they don't collude or anything like that. They just, there's a bunch of them, they'll tend to go after whatever's there. It's not like they're taking orders or figuring anything out. Now, Solanum is only present in the brain. Well, it's not only present in the brain, but it is only important, actually, in the brain. So taking out the brain is, of course, the way to kill a zombie. Anybody who knows anything about zombies knows that. And there's no, domestication or anything like that. But I'm going to turn back a page and point out, once again, with their heart. This is why a lightning strike, or, generally electricity at all, cannot kill a zombie. The human body is powered by electrical impulses, but humans survive lightning strikes all the time. The only time an electric shock will be bad for a human is if it passes through the heart and stops it. The zombie's heart is already stopped, and on top of that, their blood is sort of congealed already. It is sort of gooey. It's disgusting. Don't get me wrong. It's disgusting, but it's good because it's not like it's going to flow at all. If you're doing hand-to-hand combat with a zombie, if they had blood like a human's, you would be so screwed because you'd get it all over you. And naturally they can't they can't reproduce. They don't need to respire. They don't really decompose. And they don't heal. That's also important. They don't heal at all. If any damage done to a zombie will be present on the zombie for the rest of its existence until the brain has been destroyed and there's no more virus to be worried about. And the other important thing, they don't heal, and they also have no sense of touch at all. They have no sense of touch, they have no sense of pain. All nerve receptors are dead. They do have some sort of taste, but that may be related to other things. Even in humans, taste isn't all on the tongue. It's not all in the mouth. And yeah, it's the kind of thing. And so you do have zombies, and it's talked about, going up north to escape zombies, and they end up being corpsicles. Now, this was the other part of the question. And it's absolutely true. They do end up being corpsicles, but not because they actually freeze. Again, humans can die because of the cold, because the body temperature drops below a certain threshold. Doesn't matter for zombies. And you'd die even more if your blood froze, because the ice crystals in your blood would break the veins and arteries, and then you would die. Once again, zombies don't really have blood. It's congealed mess, and it isn't used for anything on top of that. So they don't have a problem with being in extreme cold or in extreme heat until they literally get frozen in ice. And that can happen. That does happen. You get a zombie in an area where they just get engulfed by snow, and then they get stuck there. Or they get engulfed by sand. Zombies will wander across the Sahara Desert without a care in the world until they get hit by a sandstorm and get stuck. And, they still don't care, but then they're stuck. And that's why, every spring thaw, you have teams that go out and take care of these zombies that have been frozen all winter. I was never on one of those, thankfully. But hopefully I'll be able to get Weibold in for a couple more topics soon enough. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week. Train Man out.